Right, I had the Icaro last night to finish the Bobi dieta. Um, so that week's gone quick because it's just such a beautiful dieta, especially being, you know, well, I wasn't totally clean because of the witch, but anyway, the story's been covered. So anyway, got all nice and clean now, so I'm feeling really good. The skin's improving just on Bobi dieta alone, and with the no meat diet. No salt, although I've just gone back on salt and sugar today. It's Saturday the 17th of January. So we're going to go off to have a look at Myra? What the hell am I saying? I'm tired, it's hot in the afternoon. Maestro's off at his little house place up the river, half an hour, with his son doing some work up there before I go. Because I've got to spend the night next to the Catawa tree for the next dieta, so we're going to have a ceremony on Monday to open me for the Catawa dieta, and then presumably Tuesday go to his house and spend the first night there, and then come back here. But there's a group of Americans coming on Tuesday as well. That's where they're doing all a load of repairs today because the shower floor collapsed and all this sort of thing, and there's a lot of tambos need reparation. There's one big cockroach that's just decided to fall. Things. So it seems harmless enough. So what else? That's pretty much it, really. Because yeah, I've recorded the Icaro. It's about 10 minutes long. I should have filmed it even in the dark because I had my torch in there with just a bit of light, and it was enough to see Maestro. So I was just sat in the chair and him in front of me, sang an Icaro at me. Then the final blow, Bobi was next to me in my thoughts, and just saw her get blown away. It's like, oh no. But then she popped back, said, fooled you. I said, I'm not gone really. She said, but obviously the dieta connection's broken, but still got company if I want somebody to talk to in my mind. And it's been a brilliant week for that as a new way of meditating, because you can, it's pointless trying to explain it. You just have to experience it when you're really clean, and when a dieta's done properly, by a proper maestro who actually cares. There's a really, they're a lovely family, extended family of his that have this place, and they're all really friendly and just nice people. Been here for donkey's years, this place. Maestro was telling me that this place has been here since Papa Julio was a boy. So long time, big history in this neck of the woods. And it's been great with Maestro. I only thought to record the conversations when he comes in the last few days. So I've only got two. One's about 2 hours long, but it's just for me to practice my Spanish when I listen back to them in the future, really, because I don't understand a lot of what he says. But you certainly get the gist. And I talked him into writing a book, well, I haven't talked him into it, but suggested it. But he's thinking about it for sure, because he's got so many stories, and some of them are hilarious. Some of the situations he's been in as a shaman, or being propositioned by women who are actually witches, because obviously you know all about that one. And last night telling me about his first time he did ayahuasca on his own was after his father died, and he was a bit sad, and so it's not that long ago, and he decided to do ayahuasca on his own and connect with his father. And then other times he's saying, since he's done it since just on his own to connect with his father, he's been like really flying with the eagles and stuff. And he said, and sometimes you'll see obviously shaman's got much clearer visions, because I asked about that as well, because I was curious, because my visions are pretty hazy. And he said no, it gets clearer, and they get clearer and clearer, because obviously you have to be able to see dark energy attacks in ceremonies by witches or bad shamans and things like that, which is what he's doing, interestingly enough. Sometimes when he coughs up, it seems like he's coughing something up, like he's cleaning but other people, but he's not. he's got like a reserve in his chest that he's accumulated that's got little darts in it, spiritual darts. And when he's going, it's not sucking energy out of clients, it's blowing darts at bad shamans or witches that are trying to enter the ceremony and disrupt it. And it was interesting this morning because, you know, I was feeling really good, but I had some weird dreams last night, even though I'm off the dieta. Just very vivid but weird dreams. And he said, "Oh, you know, how are you doing?" I said, yeah, I'm good. And he was very buoyant. He's got his boots on and they've got a lot of work to do, and he's a lot of energy today. And he's, you know, I said, "Oh, I just had some weird dreams, Maestro." I said, "But nothing to do with plants." I said, "They were just very vivid and weird." I said, one of them was like I was in a war camp with a load of like Africans dressed in camouflage with kids in the army with guns. I was in this camp with them. I wasn't a prisoner, but they had prisoners there, and they had a load of black guys working in this area. But anyway, there was only one point where there were a few guys stood around, and I said, there was a tree, same distance as that one over there by the, you know, when we were in the room, in the breakfast area, about 20 meters away or whatever it is. And I said it just had like a black point on it about this big, and I had this lance, a spear, metal point, very light spear, and I threw it, and it went bang in the center of the black dot. And then he went, "Ah, no, muy bien, fantastic. No, this is the plants." He said, "Because this is giving you information about learning how to throw spears at the brujas when they come into your ceremonies." So, okay, so it was about the plants. And then the other weird one, because it's been on my mind all day, because he couldn't understand that one, but he had to go. But I thought about it afterwards, and I thought it's to do with the chemotherapy, because I had long dark hair, like my normal brown color when I was younger, just long, except this one white, really thicker white strand, and I thought I'm going to pull that out. But I traced it, but it went all the way back, right to the back of my neck, and then I was at the back of my neck, and it was a plastic pipe, thin plastic pipe, going right into the back of my neck. So I pulled it out, and it was about 5 millimeters into the back of my neck. And thinking about this later, I was thinking maybe that's a sort of spiritual disconnection of, because he only knows about the chemotherapy, and we've only been talking about my blood and the chemotherapy, but maybe the neck issues, because I had a lumbar puncture, obviously with chemo in that as well, for the brain and spine fluid. And later on in the dream, that stuff had liquid in it. And then really weird, I was looking at my own feet, but they were just stumps, like an elephant's foot, but they were inside a glass jar. But this glass jar had water in it, as if circulating around, as if that was my blood, but with like dirty water particles in it, like little bits of, just dust and stuff. But at the very bottom, there was also a center part of this elephant's foot that was green with like green mold. So I'm wondering if that pipe is a representation of a sort of spiritual connection, of pharmaceutical connections that I finally detached that allow it to clean. Sounds crazy, I know, but that's the only explanation I can come out with, because it was just a really weird dream. And when they're vivid like that and you're on a dieta, Maestro said, oh, dreams on dietas are very important. When they're vivid, they're carrying messages or teaching, or they're tests, as well. That can be, like I had with the witches, in those sex dreams, trying to, give me beer and, that's just weird sex party kind of stuff. So it's quite weird. So anyway, that ceremony 91 I've done, which was the other night, which was, what have I? No, I haven't done the video for 91. I just recorded it. Oh yeah, so when was it? What day is it? Saturday. So Wednesday. Was it? Oh my God! Oh, I lose track of time on a dieta. I have no idea what's going on. Saturday. So it wasn't. Last night was the end of the dieta. It must be. Yeah, it was Wednesday. So it was Wednesday night. Had a vision of the witch. And Maestro cleaned her 3 times, but she retained. Oh, it was much more complicated than that, because Bobi and Sana told me afterwards. she said, actually, she said, look, Steve, this is my dieta. She said, I allowed the witch as a lesson to make you realize how powerful they are and how much danger you're in future if you allow the your same sort of behavior to continue, or if it ever happened again, it'd be much worse. So I allowed her to actually encroach on my dieta, but if I wanted to, she wouldn't be allowed to. But I allowed her so that you could learn in a vision. And this thing was like an insect just hanging on. And at the start of this, at the start of the ceremony, drank the ayahuasca, and I started to get a migraine, the lights of a migraine growing. And then, so I said to Maestro a bit later, I said, oh, Maestro, I think I've got a migraine. He said, oh, I'll suck it out your head later. But interesting, it didn't actually get that far, because when Maestro started the cleaning for the witch, or what we thought was the remains of the witch, he cleaned her once, thought she was gone, but then she was there like an insect thing, clinging onto like the side of a block, peeking over the edge with claws and just saying, ha 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 ha, tu gustas mi migraña. So she'd given me the migraine lights, but they didn't, because of the cleaning. The next final cleaning, Maestro, was a big blow, and then it was kind of left to me in visions. I went to take my sword out, because I realized she'd also blocked the sword, because in visions she was looked like the actual woman that I met, not the insect. And so I went to get my sword, and then I couldn't pull it out the hilt. It was kind of stuck, and eventually it came out, but it had all this sticky goo. Like, she tried to prevent that, but eventually, because she was mocking me, saying, you're too, and in the ceremony I was feeling a bit anxious, thinking, oh my god, Maestro's stories of attacks and all this sort of stuff, because like Bob and Sana said, she said, look, that's what they'll do. They'll put the doubts in your head about your ability to continue and your ability in the future. That's what they're going to do. Put doubts about your doubts about the Maestro. They'll do all of this stuff to try and mess you up. And of course, you allowed her in, so she was quite well ensconced inside you, sort of thing. But anyway, so Papa, or was it Tio Alberto, I think, was in Maestro at the time, and he was laughing. But Maestro told me after the ceremony, he said, oh, Steve, you're very brave. He said, I saw you fighting the witch and with your sword. Because basically, once I got my sword free, because she'd been mocking me and said, about you're weak and all this sort of stuff. But once, after all the Icaros, and I was getting cleaner and cleaner, and energy was gone, and then she was there, sort of stuck, like pinned to the rock again, static. And of course, then I could feel like my relative level of shamanism and confidence, and then it was like, I had my sword, and it was like, who's weak now? And then I just cut her into pieces, and that was the end of her. And then continue, Icaro and a few blows from Maestro, and then and then Bob and Sana was fully there, saying, yeah, forget her now, she's gone completely. So I had a nice night with Bob and Sana then. Felt great after that ceremony. I was coming back here with a smoking mapacho and doing rapper, and the energies, oh wow. But later on I did, I couldn't vomit. I tried in ceremony just to get, because I knew I had the residue, because it leaves physical residue, but I couldn't vomit. But later on I thought, I still want to vomit. I thought I needed to go to the loo, but there wasn't any. When I tried, there was nothing there. There was no diarrhea. I thought it was diarrhea. No, there wasn't anything. So I was actually really clean internally. But I just wanted to vomit out anything left from the big cleaning. Maestro sang some really strong. The third Icaro was really strong to get rid of her. Because I kept saying, Maestro, she's still there. Still feel it. So he got this really strong one. Really powerful Icaro. But later on, it did hit me. I felt really weak after about 2 hours back in the room doing some rapé, and then really hit me hard just through. Not for long. And then I had stomach pains. It was like, Mama, after vomiting, Mama was saying, lie down now. I was like, so weak and shaky. I was trembling like, and I had these pains in my stomach for about 5 minutes. And then I could see Bob and Sana came down and lay next to me, and she was just rubbing my stomach. But it only lasted 5 minutes, and then I was fine, and managed to drop off quite early, and I felt great in the morning. And then I had a really nice meditation the next day with Bob and Sana on the last day before she was closed. Went really deep into meditation and mixing energies in the meditation. Came out of it feeling, wow. So, really good stuff. This big cockroach here. He's not afraid of anything, is he? I'll get him on the book and show you. Okay. Fly away now. Oh, he's gone back under the bed. One of the biggest. He's pretty big and fat. Anyway, so just thought I'd log that. But yeah, just Maestro's stories are incredible. That's what I said to him the other night. I said, Maestro, you've got to write a book. Your full history, you know, right from everything Papa Julio. So I said, I'm sure it would sell millions. People would be so interested in it. You know, and I can help him with that and getting it on the web and getting books printed and this sort of thing. So, you know, because just telling me his stories, and some of them are hilarious, the scrapes he's got into, especially when he was younger. Because obviously a lot of shamans get propositioned by crazy women in ceremonies and stuff, you know, they all ages, you know, some women have got whatever issues they've got, and then they're single and they want to make a bond. I mean, he's had just outright women hugging him and trying to kiss him after ceremonies, and then say, come back to my room, I want you to stay with me tonight in my bed, and all this stuff goes on. And of course it's like so, and then another one with an older woman who was putting her hand on his knee in a taxi and on the way back from Nauta one time, and and of course he's married with kids. He's got 9 kids, Maestro. It's like, my God, he's got 6 boys and 3 girls. Eldest is 30, and the youngest little girl, she's lovely, very quiet. She's 4. So it's like, let's see where most of his money goes, you know. And extended families as well, because then he's got aunties and uncles, and he's got a niece who's a shamana. He's helped train, not totally, but fascinating stories. But of course, all the history of Papa Julio alone is really interesting. He was a soldier for, was it the war 1941, the war between Peru and Ecuador, I think it was. And his father was from Ecuador, so he was on the Ecuadorian side, but he married a Peruvian woman here near Nauta, and then had his family. But he was just obviously an incredible bloke, because that's why he had the land where they are now. He got that land, and he spent a lot of time on his own in the jungle in the early days, once he'd had a bit of medicine experience. Because after the war, when he was a soldier in his 20s, he came to Peru, and then with friends here got introduced to medicine, and then went his own way with it. He did so many dietas, because Maestro's done over 100 dietas. Maestro Antonor, in his 25 years of being a shaman, and probably a few years training under his father. So fascinating stuff, you know. So his father was so powerful. He was famous in this area. Everybody knew Papa Julio, that he was a lovely guy. I always wanted to help people, but he spent a lot of time on his own, doing dietas on his own, and ayahuasca on his own. So, you know, his accumulated wisdom is just incredible. And then he taught his brother, which is Tio, what's his name? Because I get them confused. There's the guy, Augusto and Alberto. Tio Alberto, and he comes. He's got a similar deep voice with the ha 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 when he's talking through Maestro. It's fascinating stuff. And of course, you know, I know about being able to astral travel, because they visit each other. Shamans can come and visit each other and stuff in ceremony, or they can fly with eagles and travel with animals and all sorts of stuff. So there's just some great stories, and I'd love to see them all written down, but by the shaman, because the only books I've ever seen have been interviews with shaman written by a Westerner. So they're basically using the shaman to make a book for themselves. But, you know, I want to see Maestro, because he deserves it. He's such a wonderful guy. I'd love to see him have a bestseller on. I think it would go down a storm, I really do. And I hope, you know, if I can help him with my channel, the people that we've got, the old clients from Lighthouse, get the client list off Joshua or Gino or whoever, and tell them that Maestro Antonor's got a book out. I think it would be, you know, but the truth, the whole story of ayahuasca, not the flannelly bits like, oh, ayahuasca, my wacky ceremonies, my visions. No, the full story from a shaman's perspective. When you go along this path long enough, you know, the demons, the witches, the dark energies, the shamanic attacks, everything that's going on in the ceremony that the clients have no idea about, that they're being protected from. You know, it's a busy night for a shaman sometimes, you know, especially if they get attacked, and they're handling that, possibly calling for help. Like sometimes he'll help Icaro, his brother, or Icaro, he call Icaro. Icaro's not doing a ceremony of his own, he'll come and help out if the energies are getting too much. Like the other night, you know, I could hear him, so after he told me, then I realised the darts. I wasn't sure, but I caught gists of the story of what he'd said to his son Roberto about these lads that were attacking him at school, and then the mischievous son, because they're not shamans. Actually, I thought about that. They're not shamans. They're black magicians. They learn their magic, and of course, because they're horrible people, they try to disrupt ayahuasca ceremonies because it's about proving who's a stronger magician kind of thing. So they haven't trained and become in the ayahuasca tradition with the plants and then just turned a bit bad. They actually read books on black magic because it's easy. You know, any twat can do that. So, and just to follow up a story from a previous ayahuasca ceremony, the English lad, I can't remember his name now, a lovely guy, and he said he got stung in the ceremony. Of course, that was a lesson for me in a little knowledge is dangerous, because I was quite convinced, because I've seen it a few times, that people think they've gotten bitten by insects, like it might be a test by Mama Ayahuasca. Maestro said no. He said that will be an attack. There wouldn't be anything bad. We don't do tests like that, because I'd forgotten to tell him about the sting on my ear. Something stung me, like poof, but I knew it was a spiritual sting. He said, that's a bad shaman attacking you to disrupt your ceremony, about feeling like insects crawling on my head. I thought it was a test by Maestro to test my fear. So I kind of tried to ride through it, but the sting on my ear, like, was, ow, fuck, that hurt. He said, no, that's an attack by a dark shaman. I said, but what about the other guy that turned out, lady said it was a real wasp sting in ceremony on his arm, because when he showed it was a bump, had a big bump on his arm. And lady said, oh, it looks like a wasp. And he said, no, that's the bad shaman controlling an insect, bringing a wasp into the ayahuasca ceremony to actually sting someone as well. So they can do sort of like spiritual things like stinging, or, you know, making people jump. And, you know, it happens quite a bit. Some people, if they're, you know, you might hear someone just go, ah, because they think they've had an insect or a cockroach or something when they're in ceremony. And of course they're sensitive, and they've got a fear of insects or spiders or whatever it might be. They might attract them, but no, it's dark shamans. And the same thing like with the brujas, when they come and attack a ceremony. This is what Maestro coughs up. These little blow darts, and that's what he's doing. That noise. I thought he was sucking energy from a distance, but that normally, obviously, they go. And that's another thing as well. He calls whirlwinds. He makes whirlwinds, like when he's sometimes really strong ones. And that's the noises sometimes when he's really needs to clean the maloka, going. He's making a spiritual energy whirlwind to whiz through the maloka and blow everything out. So it's fascinating hearing him from his personal perspective. And of course, he loves it. I said, you love your job, Mike? He said, yeah, I love my job, you know, helping people and just the whole visions of ayahuasca. Of course, this is what he was saying about the plant spirits. When he was sitting on his own one night, he decided to just do some ayahuasca on his own, and he was playing the guitar, because I've started playing the guitar yesterday, showing him finger picking, the claw hammer style, but he can do a lot of the stuff anyway, not exactly that, but there's a load of styles of different guitar playing in this area from different tribes, so he knows those, and he's a great guitar player. But like he said, oh, I can't play this thing right now. He said, I like confundo, I'm confused. I said, yeah. He said, but in ceremony, everything, it's just like the plants are just playing through you, singing through you. He said, my voice is so much better in ceremony, but, you know, sometimes I can't hit notes during the day, normal life. He said, but in ceremony, it's like the plants are singing through you as well, and then the energy of ayahuasca, and you're just in that space, the ayahuasca vision space, in the spiritual world. And he said he was doing ayahuasca on his own, and you could hear these women out in the jungle saying, Maestro, hola Maestro. And it was all these different women, plant spirits, but he sees them really clearly as women. He said some are black, some are white, tall, short, different clothes, short dresses, long dresses. And they all, when I'm singing my song, they're all dancing. And then when the songs are finished and they've had a dance, it's like, thank you, Maestro, thank you, bye. And the plant spirits all run off back into the jungle. It's fucking bonkers. It's incredible. It's beautiful. It really is. And to be at this stage now, after all of my problems and lessons and mistakes and just the path that I got led down, it's wonderful to be so clean and be able to learn so much from Maestro and be with him for, hopefully, you know, the duration of whatever happens on my path. So the plan is, at the moment, rough plan, we've got 2 more weeks of dietas here. The next 2 are going to be Cacao. He hasn't decided on the 3rd tree. It's for a really strong spiritual protection. And then he'll still have time into February for another 3 weeks, because Jairo's doing most of the beginning of February, his brother. Maestro Jairo I've worked with for a year and a half ago for quite a while. 4 months at the retreat was with Jairo. And I did a dieta with him as well. Well, I did a few in the retreat, but not optimal there, because of other people around. And so end of this month, I think it's the 27th, he said, Jairo goes back to Lighthouse Retreat, so he'll do 3 weeks. So that's another 3 weeks from the end of the month. So in principle, I could stay and do 6 weeks, but we'll probably have a break for a week or a few days at least, go back to Iquitos, change clothes and whatever, and pick up other stuff or whatever, check money, get more money out for him, and then do another 3 dietas. But that's the rough plan at the moment. But, you know, like Bob and Sarah just said, one day at a time, Steve. Just take every day as it comes. And it's easy. It's you know, it's much easier than sitting in a hotel room waiting for the next retreat for 2 weeks. You know, you might as well be on a dieta in this beautiful environment. Although the nights are bloody freezing. It's really hot now. It's rainy season's over, pretty much. End of January. It's not raining so much during the... Well, it hasn't rained for 3 days. It's been really hot during the day. But the nights, fuck, with the clear skies, it's been freezing 2 o'clock in the morning. Especially after being used to the heat in the day. So, that's the plan for now.